The squeak of Michael's sneakers echoed through the empty gym. It was 5 a.m., hours before the first bell would ring at Northwood High, but Michael was already there, a basketball his constant companion. He dribbled low, his eyes focused on the hoop, the orange sphere a blur as he weaved through imaginary defenders. He practiced the same moves every morning, crossovers, step-backs, fadeaway jumpers. Each repetition was a step closer, in his mind, to the NBA. Michael wasn't just any high school player, he was a phenomenon. At 6'4", he possessed a rare combination of size, speed, and skill. His jump shot was pure, his passes crisp, and his court vision uncanny. He could drive to the basket with explosive power, finishing with acrobatic layups or thunderous dunks. He was the team captain, the leading scorer, and the heart and soul of the Northwood Wildcats. Everyone in town knew Michael's name. Friday night games were packed, the stands a sea of blue and white, all chanting his name. College scouts lined the sidelines, their eyes glued to his every move, scribbling notes in their pads. The whispers had already started: NBA potential, lottery pick, future superstar. But Michael wasn't driven by the hype. He loved the game. He loved the feeling of the ball in his hands, the rhythm of the dribble, the swish of the net. He loved the camaraderie of his teammates, the thrill of competition, and the satisfaction of pushing himself to be better every day. He treated every practice like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. His dedication was legendary. He ate right, slept well, and avoided distractions. While his friends were out partying or playing video games, Michael was in the gym, honing his skills. He watched film, studied opposing players, and analyzed his own performance, always looking for ways to improve. His coach, Mr. Thompson, often remarked that Michael was the most dedicated player he had ever coached in his 20 years at Northwood High. "He's got that fire," Mr. Thompson would say, a twinkle in his eye. "That unwavering belief in himself. That's what separates the good players from the great ones." Michael's dream wasn't just a fleeting fancy, it was a burning passion that consumed him. He had posters of his idols, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, plastered on his bedroom walls. He imagined himself one day playing on the same court, under the bright lights, wearing an NBA jersey. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was willing to do whatever it took to make his dream a reality. He was ready to put in the work. He believed in himself. He knew he could do it. The early morning practices, the late-night film sessions, the sacrifices he made, they were all worth it, as long as he was one step closer to achieving his ultimate goal. The NBA wasn't just a dream, it was his destiny. The rhythm of Michael's life, the comforting predictability of his routine, was suddenly shattered. It started with a series of appointments, meetings with doctors, psychologists, and specialists. His parents, usually so open and communicative, grew quiet and concerned. He knew something was up, but they wouldn't tell him what. Finally, the day came when they sat him down in the living room. "Michael," his mom began, her voice gentle but firm, "we've learned some things about you." His dad put a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "The doctors have diagnosed you with autism." The word hung in the air, heavy and unfamiliar. Autism. Michael had heard the term before, but he didn't really know what it meant. He pictured characters he had seen on TV, ones portrayed as struggling with social situations, often misunderstood. He thought, "That's not me." "What does this mean?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. His parents explained that autism is a different way of thinking and processing information. They told him that it could affect his social interactions, his communication, and his sensory experiences. They tried to emphasize that it wasn't a bad thing, that it was simply a part of who he was. But Michael couldn't shake the feeling of dread that washed over him. His first thought wasn't about socializing or school. It was about basketball. His NBA dream. Will this stop me from playing?" he asked, his voice trembling. His parents exchanged worried glances. "We don't know, honey," his mom said. We need to learn more about it. But we'll do everything we can to help you. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. His mind raced with questions and fears. Would college scouts still be interested in him? Would he be able to handle the pressure of playing in front of thousands of people? Would his teammates understand him? Would he ever achieve his dream? He scrolled through the internet, searching for information about autism and sports. He found stories of athletes who had overcome challenges and achieved success, but he also found stories of people who had been discriminated against and misunderstood. He felt a wave of despair wash over him. He went to the gym, hoping that the familiar routine would calm his nerves, but even the squeak of his sneakers sounded different, harsher. He tried to shoot, but his shots clanked off the rim. He couldn't focus. The word autism echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of his uncertainty. He sat on the bench, staring at the floor, his head in his hands. The NBA seemed further away than ever. His dream, once so vivid and within reach, now felt like a distant star, fading into the darkness. A single tear rolled down his cheek. The diagnosis felt like a life sentence, a barrier between him and everything he had ever wanted. He feared that all his hard work, all his dedication, all his sacrifices, would be for nothing. He was just Michael, the basketball player with autism. And he was very, very sad. The next morning, Michael walked into school with a heavy heart. He tried to avoid eye contact, afraid of what people might say or think. He felt like everyone was staring at him, whispering behind his back. He went straight to his locker, hoping to disappear into the crowd, but he heard a familiar voice. "Hey, Michael." It was David, his best friend and teammate. David clapped him on the shoulder. "Heard about the diagnosis, man. You okay?" Michael shrugged, avoiding his gaze. "I don't know, David. I'm scared." David smiled reassuringly. "Hey, don't worry about it. It doesn't change anything. You're still the same Michael, the best basketball player I know. We're all here for you, man." Other teammates gathered around, offering words of support and encouragement. They didn't fully understand what autism meant, but they knew Michael, and they knew he was one of them. Their acceptance and unwavering friendship was a balm to his wounded spirit. Later that day, Coach Thompson called Michael into his office. Michael braced himself for the worst, but Coach Thompson's demeanor was calm and supportive. "Michael," Coach Thompson said, "I just want you to know that I'm behind you 100%. This doesn't change how I feel about you as a player or as a person. We'll figure this out together." Coach Thompson had already started researching autism, trying to learn more about how it might affect Michael and how he could best support him. He assured Michael that he would adjust practices and strategies as needed, and that he would always be there to listen and offer guidance. "You're a special player, Michael," Coach Thompson said. "You've got talent, heart, and determination. Don't let this diagnosis define you. Let it inspire you to be even greater." But the biggest source of support came from Michael's family. His parents, initially unsure of how to handle the situation, dove headfirst into learning everything they could about autism. They attended support groups, read books and articles, and consulted with specialists. They realized that Michael's diagnosis wasn't a setback, but an opportunity to understand him better and help him reach his full potential. They reassured him that their love was unconditional and that they would be there for him every step of the way. They helped him navigate the challenges of school and basketball, and they celebrated his successes, big and small. They created a safe and supportive environment where he could be himself, without fear of judgment or rejection. His little sister, Emily, even started wearing a blue bracelet with puzzle pieces on it, the symbol for autism awareness. She told him that she was proud of him and that she would always be his biggest fan. With the unwavering support of his family, coaches, and friends, Michael began to feel a glimmer of hope. He realized that he wasn't alone in this journey. He had a team of people who believed in him and were willing to fight for him. And that gave him the strength to face his fears and pursue his dreams, one step at a time. With the support of his loved ones, Michael began to take control of the situation. He realized that ignorance was his biggest enemy, and that the more he learned about autism, the better equipped he would be to face the challenges ahead. He started by devouring every book, article, and website he could find on the subject. He wanted to understand what autism was, how it affected people, and what strategies he could use to manage its impact on his life. He learned that autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning that it affects people in different ways and to varying degrees. Some people with autism have difficulty with social interaction and communication, while others have sensory sensitivities or repetitive behaviors. He also learned that many people with autism have unique strengths, such as a strong attention to detail, exceptional memory, or a passion for specific interests. As he learned more, Michael began to recognize how autism might be affecting him. He realized that his intense focus on basketball, his meticulous practice routines, and his discomfort with unexpected changes could all be related to his autism. He also recognized that his strong visual memory and his ability to analyze plays in detail could be strengths that gave him an edge on the court. One of the biggest challenges Michael faced was sensory overload. The bright lights, loud noises, and chaotic atmosphere of a basketball game could be overwhelming for him. He realized that he needed to find ways to manage these sensory inputs so that he could stay focused and perform at his best. He started experimenting with different strategies, such as wearing noise-canceling headphones during warm-ups or taking short breaks in a quiet room during halftime. He also realized that he sometimes struggled with social communication. He had difficulty understanding sarcasm and humor, and he sometimes missed social cues. This could make it challenging to interact with his teammates and coaches, especially in high-pressure situations. He started working with a therapist to develop strategies for improving his social communication skills, such as practicing active listening and asking clarifying questions. Michael also started to recognize the positive aspects of his autism. His intense focus allowed him to concentrate on the game with unwavering dedication. His attention to detail helped him to analyze his opponent's weaknesses and exploit them on the court. And his strong memory allowed him to recall plays and strategies with ease. He began to see his autism not as a disability, but as a different way of thinking, a different way of experiencing the world. It wasn't something to be ashamed of, but something to be understood and embraced. It was part of what made him who he was, both on and off the court. And he was determined to use his unique strengths to achieve his dreams, despite the challenges he faced. He started to feel empowered, like he could face anything as long as he understood himself. He was ready to take on the world, one dribble at a time. Understanding his autism was just the first step. Michael knew that he needed practical strategies to manage its challenges on the basketball court. With the help of his parents, he assembled a team of specialists, an occupational therapist, a speech-language pathologist, and a sports psychologist, all experienced in working with athletes with autism. The occupational therapist, Sarah, focused on helping Michael manage his sensory sensitivities. She taught him techniques for regulating his sensory input, such as deep breathing exercises, weighted vests, and fidget toys. They experimented with different types of earplugs and sunglasses to reduce the impact of bright lights and loud noises. Sarah also worked with Coach Thompson to modify the practice environment to make it less overwhelming for Michael, such as dimming the lights or reducing the volume of the music. The speech-language pathologist, Emily, worked with Michael on improving his social communication skills. They practiced active listening, role-playing different social situations, and developing strategies for expressing his needs and feelings clearly and effectively. Emily also helped Michael understand the nuances of nonverbal communication, such as body language and facial expressions. She worked with him on interpreting sarcasm and humor, which he often found confusing. The sports psychologist, Dr. Ramirez, helped Michael develop mental strategies for managing anxiety and improving his focus. They used techniques such as visualization, positive self-talk, and mindfulness to help him stay calm and confident under pressure. Dr. Ramirez also helped Michael to identify and challenge negative thoughts and beliefs that were holding him back. He encouraged Michael to focus on his strengths and to celebrate his successes, no matter how small. Together, the specialists created a comprehensive plan tailored to Michael's specific needs and goals. They worked closely with him and his family to implement the plan and to monitor his progress. They also collaborated with Coach Thompson and his teammates to ensure that everyone was on the same page and that Michael had the support he needed to succeed. Michael embraced the therapy with his characteristic dedication. He practiced the techniques diligently, both on and off the court. He learned to recognize the signs of sensory overload and to take steps to manage them before they became overwhelming. He improved his social communication skills, becoming more confident and comfortable interacting with his teammates and coaches. And he developed a stronger mental game, allowing him to stay focused and resilient under pressure. He started using noise-canceling headphones during warm-ups to block out the distracting sounds of the crowd. He wore sunglasses to reduce the glare of the lights. He took short breaks in a quiet room during halftime to recharge his batteries. He practiced deep breathing exercises to calm his nerves before free throws. He also started communicating more openly with his teammates and coaches about his needs. He explained to them how his autism affected him and what they could do to support him. They listened attentively and were eager to help in any way they could. Slowly but surely, Michael began to feel more confident and in control. He realized that his autism wasn't a barrier to success, but a challenge to be overcome. And with the help of his team of specialists, he was well on his way to achieving his dreams. He was learning not just to cope, but to thrive. The first big test came during a rivalry game against their biggest competitor, the Capital City Eagles. The gym was packed, the noise deafening. The Eagles fans were known for their loud and often obnoxious taunts. Michael could feel the anxiety building inside him even before the game started. During warm-ups, the flashing lights and the roar of the crowd threatened to overwhelm him. He felt his heart racing, his palms sweating. He could barely focus on dribbling the ball. He reached for his noise-canceling headphones and put them on, taking a deep breath. The noise faded to a dull hum, allowing him to regain his composure. He closed his eyes for a moment, visualizing himself making shots, making passes, making plays. He repeated his mantra, "I am strong, I am focused, I am capable." The game started, and the Eagles immediately targeted Michael, double-teaming him every time he touched the ball. They trash-talked him relentlessly, trying to get under his skin. "Hey, Michael, heard you're a little different," one of them sneered. "Maybe you should go back to special ed." Michael felt a surge of anger, but he remembered what Dr. Ramirez had taught him. He took a deep breath and refocused on the game. He knew that getting angry would only play into their hands. He used their aggression against them, passing the ball to his open teammates, who scored easy baskets. He trusted in his teammates, something that was hard for him to do sometimes. Later in the game, Coach Thompson called a timeout. The team huddled around him, but Michael felt lost in the flurry of instructions. He struggled to process what Coach Thompson was saying, the words blurring together in his mind. He felt a wave of panic wash over him. David noticed Michael's distress. He put a hand on Michael's shoulder and spoke calmly and slowly. "Hey, Mike, you okay? Coach wants you to focus on setting screens for me on the next play. Got it?" Michael nodded, grateful for David's clarity. He repeated the instruction to himself several times to make sure he understood. He focused on his specific task, blocking out the noise and confusion. On the next play, Michael set a perfect screen, freeing up David for an open jump shot. David nailed it, tying the game. The crowd went wild. In the final seconds of the game, the score was tied. The Eagles had the ball, but Michael managed to steal it. He dribbled down the court, the clock ticking down. He knew he had to make a decision quickly. He could try to drive to the basket, but he was double-teamed. He could pass to David, but he was covered. He saw an opening, a sliver of space between two defenders. He took a deep breath and launched a fadeaway jumper. The ball arced through the air, a perfect spiral. The buzzer sounded as the ball swished through the net. The crowd erupted. His teammates mobbed him, chanting his name. Michael had won the game. In the locker room, Coach Thompson praised Michael's performance. "You showed incredible resilience tonight, Michael," he said. "You didn't let the pressure get to you. You stayed focused and you came through when it mattered most. I'm proud of you." Michael smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never felt before. He had faced his challenges head-on and he had overcome them. He had proven to himself, and to everyone else, that his autism didn't define him. He defined himself. He could do anything. The victory against Capital City was a turning point. Michael felt a surge of confidence and a renewed determination to pursue his NBA dream. He knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready to work harder than ever. He channeled all his energy and focus into improving his game, pushing himself to new limits. He continued his early morning workouts, but he added new drills and exercises to target his specific weaknesses. He worked on his ball handling skills, practicing dribbling with both hands, weaving through cones, and making quick changes of direction. He spent hours shooting free throws, focusing on his form and visualizing the ball going through the net. He knew that every extra point could make a difference. He also worked on his physical conditioning, running sprints, lifting weights, and doing plyometrics. He wanted to be stronger, faster, and more agile than his opponents. He knew that he needed to be in peak physical condition to withstand the rigors of a long basketball season. But Michael didn't just focus on his physical skills. He also worked on his mental game. He continued to meet with Dr. Ramirez, who helped him develop strategies for managing stress, improving his focus, and building his confidence. He practiced visualization techniques, imagining himself succeeding in different game situations. He used positive self-talk to boost his morale and to overcome negative thoughts. He spent hours studying film, analyzing his own performance and identifying areas for improvement. He watched videos of NBA players, studying their techniques and trying to emulate their moves. He paid close attention to their footwork, their hand placement, and their body language. He also sought feedback from Coach Thompson and his teammates. He asked them for honest assessments of his strengths and weaknesses. He listened carefully to their suggestions and incorporated them into his training. Michael's dedication and hard work were evident to everyone around him. Coach Thompson marveled at his commitment. His teammates were inspired by his perseverance. His parents were proud of his resilience. "He's a different player now," Coach Thompson said. "He's always been talented, but now he's got that mental toughness that separates the good players from the great ones." Michael's hard work paid off. He improved his scoring average, his rebounding numbers, and his assist totals. He became a more complete player, a more dominant force on the court. He also became a leader, inspiring his teammates to work harder and to believe in themselves. He showed them that anything is possible with hard work, determination, and a positive attitude. He pushed himself to the limit, every single day. He knew that his NBA dream was within reach, and he was determined to do everything in his power to make it a reality. He used his autism as fuel, channeling his intensity and focus into achieving his goals. He wouldn't let anything stop him. He was Michael, the basketball player with autism, and he was ready to conquer the world. He was ready to soar. The basketball season arrived, and Michael was ready. He stepped onto the court with a newfound sense of confidence and purpose. He wasn't just playing for himself anymore, he was playing for everyone who had ever doubted him, for everyone who had ever told him he couldn't achieve his dreams. He was playing for all the kids with autism who needed a role model, someone to show them that anything is possible. From the very first game, Michael dominated. He scored points in bunches, grabbed rebounds with authority, and dished out assists with precision. He was a one-man wrecking crew, leading the Northwood Wildcats to victory after victory. He used his strategies for managing sensory overload effectively. He wore his noise-canceling headphones during warm-ups, blocking out the distractions and allowing him to focus on the task at hand. He took short breaks during timeouts to recharge his batteries. He communicated openly with his teammates and coaches about his needs, ensuring that he had the support he needed to succeed. He also used his communication skills to build strong relationships with his teammates. He listened to their concerns, offered words of encouragement, and celebrated their successes. He created a positive and supportive environment where everyone felt valued and respected. Michael's success on the court translated into success for the team. The Wildcats finished the regular season with a near-perfect record, earning the top seed in the state tournament. They breezed through the early rounds, defeating their opponents by wide margins. But the road to the championship wasn't easy. They faced tough competition, challenging defenses, and hostile crowds. They had to overcome adversity, injuries, and close calls. Through it all, Michael remained the team's steady hand. He kept his composure under pressure, made clutch shots, and inspired his teammates to never give up. He led by example, showing them that hard work, determination, and resilience are the keys to success. In the state championship game, the Wildcats faced their arch-rivals, the Capital City Eagles. The game was a back-and-forth battle, with both teams trading baskets and momentum shifts. The score was tied with seconds remaining, and the Wildcats had possession of the ball. Everyone in the arena knew that the ball was going to Michael. He dribbled towards the basket, his eyes focused on the rim. He saw an opening, a sliver of space between two defenders. He took a deep breath and launched a jump shot. The ball arced through the air, a perfect spiral. The buzzer sounded as the ball swished through the net. The Wildcats had won the state championship. The crowd erupted, chanting Michael's name. His teammates mobbed him, hoisting him onto their shoulders. He had led his team to victory, showcasing his talent, his resilience, and his unwavering determination. The season was a resounding success, not just for Michael, but for the entire Northwood community. He had proven that anything is possible with hard work, dedication, and the support of a loving community. He was a true champion, both on and off the court. He had become more than just a basketball player, he was an inspiration. Michael's remarkable season didn't go unnoticed. The stands, already packed with enthusiastic fans, began to fill with a different kind of spectator, NBA scouts. They sat quietly, their eyes laser-focused on Michael, scribbling notes in their pads, whispering into their phones. They weren't just impressed by his scoring ability or his athleticism, they were captivated by his story. The news of Michael's autism diagnosis had spread like wildfire. It wasn't just a local story anymore, it was a national phenomenon. Sports websites, newspapers, and television networks all clamored to tell his tale of perseverance and triumph. The scouts saw a player who had overcome significant challenges to achieve his dreams. They saw a leader who inspired his teammates and his community. They saw a young man with exceptional talent and an unwavering commitment to excellence. But they also had questions. They wondered how Michael's autism might affect his ability to handle the pressures of the NBA. They wondered if he would be able to adapt to the demanding travel schedule and the intense media scrutiny. They wondered if he would be able to communicate effectively with his teammates and coaches. They decided to do their due diligence. They interviewed Coach Thompson, his teammates, his parents, and his specialists. They wanted to get a complete picture of Michael's strengths and weaknesses. They learned about Michael's strategies for managing sensory overload, his communication skills, and his mental toughness. They learned about his unwavering work ethic and his passion for the game. They learned about his support system, his loving family, and his dedicated team of specialists. They also observed Michael firsthand, both on and off the court. They watched him interact with his teammates, his coaches, and his fans. They saw him handle pressure situations with grace and composure. They saw him embrace his challenges with courage and determination. The scouts were impressed. They realized that Michael's autism wasn't a liability, but an asset. It gave him a unique perspective, a different way of thinking about the game. It made him more resilient, more focused, and more determined. They saw a player who could not only excel on the court, but also inspire millions of people around the world. They saw a player who could break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and promote inclusion. They knew that Michael was a special talent, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They knew that he had the potential to be a star, both on and off the court. They started to envision him wearing their team's jersey, leading their team to victory, and inspiring their fans. They started to see him as a valuable addition to their organization, a player who could not only help them win games, but also help them make a difference in the world. Michael's dream was coming closer to reality. The NBA scouts were watching, and they were impressed. He had shown them that anything is possible with hard work, determination, and a belief in yourself. He had shown them that autism doesn't have to be a barrier to success. He had shown them that he was ready for the NBA. He was ready to shine. Draft day arrived, a culmination of years of hard work, sacrifice, and unwavering belief. Michael sat in his living room, surrounded by his family, his closest friends, Coach Thompson, and his team of specialists. The room was buzzing with nervous energy. A large screen TV dominated one wall, broadcasting the NBA draft live. Michael tried to remain calm, but his heart was racing. He had practiced his deep breathing exercises, but it was hard to focus. The room felt too bright, the sounds too loud. He fidgeted with the small fidget toy Sarah had given him, trying to ground himself in the present moment. His parents sat on either side of him, holding his hands, offering words of encouragement. "Whatever happens, Michael," his mom said, "we're so proud of you." His dad nodded in agreement. "You've already accomplished so much. Just remember that." David sat on the floor, bouncing a basketball nervously. "Don't worry, man," he said. "You're going to get drafted. I know it." Coach Thompson patted him on the back. "You've got the talent, the work ethic, and the heart. You deserve this, Michael." Dr. Ramirez reminded him of all the progress he had made, the challenges he had overcome. "Remember your strengths, Michael," she said. "You are resilient, you are focused, and you are capable." The draft began, and the tension in the room grew thicker with each passing pick. Michael watched as player after player was selected, their names announced to the world. He tried to distract himself, but it was impossible. Every pick felt like a judgment, a verdict on his worthiness. He knew that he wasn't like the other players. He had autism, a condition that many people didn't understand. He worried that teams might be hesitant to draft him, afraid of the challenges he might present. As the first round wore on, Michael's anxiety intensified. He started to doubt himself, to question his abilities. He wondered if he had done enough, if he was good enough. He closed his eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. He remembered all the hard work he had put in, all the sacrifices he had made. He remembered the support of his family, his friends, and his coaches. He remembered the kids with autism who were counting on him to succeed. He opened his eyes, feeling a renewed sense of determination. He wouldn't let his anxiety get the best of him. He would stay strong, stay focused, and stay positive. The second round began, and Michael's name still hadn't been called. He started to feel a sense of disappointment, a feeling that his dream was slipping away. But he refused to give up hope. He knew that anything could happen. He knew that he had to stay ready, stay prepared, and stay positive. He squeezed his parents' hands, taking comfort in their presence. He looked at his friends, his coaches, and his specialists, drawing strength from their unwavering support. He knew that he wasn't alone in this journey. He had a team of people who believed in him, who were willing to fight for him. And that gave him the strength to keep believing in himself. The wait was agonizing. Every commercial break felt like an eternity. But Michael persevered, his dream still flickering in his heart. Suddenly, the phone rang. Michael's dad answered it, his eyes widening as he listened intently. He covered the mouthpiece with his hand and whispered, "It's them. It's the San Antonio Spurs." Michael's heart leaped into his throat. The San Antonio Spurs were one of the most respected franchises in the NBA, known for their winning culture and their commitment to player development. His dad handed him the phone. Michael took a deep breath and put it to his ear. "Michael Thompson," a voice on the other end said. "This is Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs. We're calling to let you know that we're going to select you with the 55th pick in the NBA draft." Michael was speechless. He couldn't believe it. His dream had come true. "We've been watching you for a long time, Michael," Coach Popovich continued. "We're impressed with your talent, your work ethic, and your character. We know about your autism, and we see it as a strength, not a weakness. We believe that you have the potential to be a great player in this league, and we're excited to have you on our team." Tears welled up in Michael's eyes. He managed to choke out a thank you, his voice trembling with emotion. "We'll be in touch soon with more details," Coach Popovich said. "Welcome to the Spurs, Michael." Michael hung up the phone and burst into tears. He was crying tears of joy, tears of relief, tears of gratitude. His family and friends erupted in cheers, hugging him, congratulating him, celebrating his accomplishment. The room was filled with laughter, applause, and shouts of excitement. "You did it, Michael," his mom cried, hugging him tightly. "You made your dream come true. I knew you could do it, man." David shouted, jumping up and down. "You're going to be a star." Coach Thompson beamed with pride. "I always believed in you, Michael," he said. "You're a true inspiration." Dr. Ramirez smiled knowingly. "Remember what I told you, Michael," she said. "You are resilient, you are focused, and you are capable." Michael looked around at the faces of the people who had supported him, who had believed in him, who had helped him achieve his dream. He realized that he couldn't have done it without them. He raised his arms in the air, soaking in the moment. He had made it. He was going to the NBA. He knew that the journey ahead would be challenging, but he was ready. He had overcome so many obstacles already, and he was confident that he could overcome anything that came his way. He was Michael Thompson, the basketball player with autism, and he was ready to take on the world. He was ready to inspire others, to break down barriers, and to make a difference. He was ready to be an NBA player. The celebration continued late into the night, a testament to Michael's hard work, his perseverance, and his unwavering spirit. His dream was real. He was drafted. Joining the San Antonio Spurs was a dream come true, but Michael quickly realized that the NBA was a whole new level of competition. The players were bigger, faster, and more skilled than anyone he had ever faced before. The schedule was grueling, with constant travel and back-to-back games. The media scrutiny was intense, with reporters and cameras following his every move. He missed the familiarity of his high school team, the comfort of his routine, and the unwavering support of his family and friends. He felt isolated and overwhelmed. The sensory challenges were amplified in the NBA. The arenas were larger, the crowds were louder, and the lights were brighter. He had to adjust his strategies for managing sensory overload, finding new ways to cope with the intense stimulation. He worked closely with the Spurs medical staff to develop a plan that would allow him to thrive in the NBA environment. They provided him with noise-canceling headphones, sunglasses, and a quiet room where he could retreat during breaks. They also worked with the team's chefs to create a meal plan that catered to his dietary needs. The social challenges were also more complex in the NBA. He had to learn to navigate the complex social dynamics of a professional sports team, building relationships with teammates from different backgrounds and cultures. He had to learn to communicate effectively with coaches and staff members who had different communication styles. He continued to work with Emily, his speech-language pathologist, to improve his social communication skills. They practiced active listening, role-playing different social situations, and developing strategies for expressing his needs and feelings clearly and effectively. Coach Popovich was incredibly supportive, understanding and patient. He took the time to learn about Michael's autism and to understand his unique needs. He created a team environment that was inclusive and accepting, where everyone felt valued and respected. He paired Michael with a veteran player, Tony Parker, who became his mentor and friend. Tony helped Michael navigate the challenges of the NBA, providing guidance and support both on and off the court. Michael faced intense pressure to perform. He had to prove that he belonged in the NBA, that he was more than just a feel-good story. He had to show that he could contribute to the team's success. He channeled his anxiety into hard work, spending countless hours in the gym, honing his skills and perfecting his game. He studied film, analyzed his opponents, and sought feedback from his coaches and teammates. Slowly but surely, Michael began to adapt and grow. He learned to manage his sensory sensitivities, to communicate effectively with his teammates, and to handle the pressures of the NBA. He improved his skills, his confidence, and his leadership abilities. He earned the respect of his teammates, his coaches, and his fans. He proved that he belonged in the NBA, that he was more than just a basketball player with autism. He was a valuable member of the San Antonio Spurs, a player who could contribute to their success. He was showing the world what he was capable of, one game at a time. The NBA was a new mountain to climb, but Michael was ready to conquer it. As Michael's NBA career progressed, he realized that he had a platform to make a difference in the world. He decided to use his voice to advocate for autism awareness and to inspire others with disabilities to pursue their dreams. He started by sharing his story. He gave interviews to newspapers, magazines, and television networks, talking openly and honestly about his experiences with autism. He discussed the challenges he had faced, the strategies he had used to overcome them, and the support system that had helped him along the way. He also emphasized the positive aspects of autism, highlighting the unique strengths and talents that people with autism often possess. He wanted to change the perception of autism, to show that it wasn't a disability, but a different way of thinking, a different way of experiencing the world. He partnered with autism advocacy organizations, raising awareness and funds for research and support programs. He participated in charity events, visited schools and hospitals, and spoke at conferences and workshops. He became a role model for young people with autism, showing them that anything is possible with hard work, determination, and a belief in yourself. He inspired them to embrace their differences, to celebrate their strengths, and to pursue their passions. He also became an advocate for inclusion, promoting the idea that people with disabilities should be fully integrated into society, with equal opportunities and equal rights. He challenged stereotypes, broke down barriers, and fought for a more just and equitable world. He started a foundation, the Michael Thompson Foundation for Autism Awareness, to provide resources and support to individuals with autism and their families. The foundation offered scholarships, grants, and mentorship programs, helping people with autism to achieve their full potential. He wrote a book, My Journey with Autism, from high school star to NBA player, sharing his story with the world. The book became a bestseller, inspiring millions of readers with its message of hope, resilience, and determination. He received numerous awards and accolades for his advocacy work, including the NBA Community Assist Award and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. He was recognized as a leader, a champion, and an inspiration. But the greatest reward was the impact he had on the lives of others. He received countless letters and emails from people with autism and their families, thanking him for his courage, his honesty, and his inspiration. He knew that he was making a difference, that he was changing the world, one person at a time. He used his platform to amplify the voices of others with disabilities, sharing their stories and highlighting their accomplishments. He created a community of support, where people with disabilities could connect with each other, share their experiences, and find encouragement and inspiration. Michael's advocacy work became an integral part of his identity. He was more than just a basketball player, he was a champion for change, a voice for the voiceless, and a beacon of hope for people with disabilities around the world. He showed the world that anything is possible, that dreams can come true, and that everyone has the potential to make a difference. He was using his success to make the world a better place, one assist at a time. Years later, Michael sat on the sidelines, no longer a player, but a coach, a mentor, and an inspiration to a new generation of basketball players. He had retired from the NBA after a successful career, but his passion for the game and his commitment to advocacy remained as strong as ever. He often reflected on his journey, the challenges he had faced, and the triumphs he had achieved. He realized that his success wasn't just about talent or luck, it was about hard work, support, and self-belief. There were times when I doubted myself, Michael admitted in a speech to a group of young athletes. Times when I thought I couldn't make it. But I never gave up. I kept working hard, I kept believing in myself, and I kept surrounding myself with people who supported me. He emphasized the importance of setting goals, developing a plan, and taking consistent action. Dreams don't come true overnight, he said. They require hard work, dedication, and perseverance. You have to be willing to put in the time, to make the sacrifices, and to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way. He also stressed the importance of seeking support from others. No one can do it alone, he said. You need a team of people who believe in you, who will encourage you, and who will help you through the tough times. Find your support system, and lean on them when you need it. He talked about the power of self-belief, the importance of knowing your worth, and the ability to overcome self-doubt. Believe in yourself, even when no one else does, he said. Know that you are capable of amazing things. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your dreams. He shared his experiences with autism, explaining how it had affected his life, both positively and negatively. He encouraged others to embrace their differences, to celebrate their strengths, and to use their unique talents to make a difference in the world. Autism is a part of who I am, Michael said. It's not something to be ashamed of, but something to be embraced. It has given me a different perspective, a different way of thinking about the world. It has made me more resilient, more focused, and more determined. He urged the young athletes to be kind, compassionate, and inclusive, to treat everyone with respect, regardless of their differences. We all have something to offer, he said. We all deserve to be valued and respected. Let's create a world where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. He looked out at the faces of the young athletes, seeing their hopes, their dreams, and their potential. He knew that they had the power to change the world. He had shown them that anything is possible with hard work, support, and self-belief. Believe in yourselves, Michael said, his voice filled with passion. Work hard, never give up, and always remember that you are capable of amazing things. The world needs your talents, your gifts, and your unique perspectives. Go out there and make a difference. He smiled, knowing that he had inspired them, that he had given them hope, and that he had empowered them to pursue their dreams. His journey had come full circle. He had started as a high school basketball player with a dream, and he had ended up as a role model, a mentor, and an inspiration to a new generation. His legacy would live on, not just on the basketball court, but in the hearts and minds of all those he had touched. He had truly made his mark on the world. He had won the game of life.